China is back to its predetermined stance of backing its all-weather ally Pakistan on terrorism. This is after Beijing backed an anti-terror declaration in BRICS just earlier this week. In the final BRICS declaration, China, along with all of the other member countries, Brazil, Russia, India, and South Africa, condemned terror and came down heavily on countries sponsoring or not doing enough to stop terrorist activities. Just 3 days, though, after the declaration, Beijing backed Pakistan by saying that Islamabad had a clear conscience and has made great sacrifices. In a joint press conference with Pakistan's Foreign Minister Khwaja Asif, China's foreign ministry says that they are emphasizing and fully backing up Islamabad in its fight against terrorism, as well as supporting its neighbor in safeguarding its sovereignty. Now, this is a sharp contrast on Beijing's stand on the Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. Both the terror organizations are known to target India. China's foreign ministry says China and Pakistan are strategic partners. The two sides have seen their relationship growing with sound momentum, frequent high-level exchanges, and the fruitful outcome of practical cooperation. To get more perspective on the story, we're joined by senior editor Surya Gangadharan joining us from the WION newsroom. Surya, thanks for joining us. Certainly interesting to see how China is playing its diplomatic cards.
Well, absolutely. I think you must understand that China and Pakistan are strategic allies, iron brothers. Their partnership is as tall as the mountains and as deep as the ocean. And they are, don't forget, they are also partners in a very ambitious economic program called CPEC, which will involve an investment of more than $50 billion in Pakistan. So there are many reasons for them to remain together. Plus, China sees Pakistan as a valuable ally in the general ambition to try and contain India within South Asia. So Pakistan plays a useful role in that respect. Therefore, the clean chit to Pakistan.
So, you know, what's also interesting is just recently Beijing was also talking to Nepal and they were, building that relationship. And even with India coming back and saying after the big Doklam standoff, saying that it needs to be a win-win cooperation and there really isn't any rivalry. But steps like this clearly beg to differ. It seems like, they want their cake and want to eat it too. Basically trying to build a bridge to all of its neighbors. But really, when it comes to terrorism, that isn't the case, specifically when it comes to India.
Well, terrorism is something that China understands is not good for its own interests, and it is aware that the terror groups in Pakistan will pose a problem at some point. There are already concerns being expressed about the safety of Chinese personnel engaged in building the CPEC in Balochistan and other places. And as you're aware, some time ago, 2 Chinese nationals were kidnapped. There is no clue as to their whereabouts. There have been other attacks on Chinese nationals in Balochistan, and the Pakistanis have promised to do more to ensure their safety. But clearly, in this kind of situation, there are no guarantees. But even so, the Chinese believe that there is a way in which they can manage Pakistan. And Pakistan has built up ties with groups like the Taliban and others. Therefore, it hopes that at least indirectly, it will be able to ensure that its projects go ahead smoothly and there is no threat to Chinese interests.
Surya, what is also interesting is in this BRICS declaration in Xiamen, for the first time, the terror groups were specifically named, including some of them from Pakistan, like the Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba, plus several other terror groups. And Beijing backed that up, and now it looks like they're perhaps contradicting themselves. Why do we think this is the case? And, is this more of an economic or strategic or a combination of the two to really, kind of keep those bridges open with Pakistan?
Well, I think contradiction is what diplomacy is all about. You have to cater to one set of interests at the BRICS summit, which China did very well. And then there's this other aspect of having to keep Pakistan on its side because it brings a lot of benefits too. In that sense, telling the Pakistanis that you're doing well, and we don't really know what the Chinese told Mr. Asif privately. I'm sure at some level they would express concern about what Pakistan is doing, about the need to bring terror groups under control. But publicly, they will always say that you're our partner, you're doing well, and we'll give you a clean chit.
All right, Surya Gangadharan getting us the very latest on this story. Surya, thank you for those updates.